This is your News Source Evening Bulletin for today, Friday, the 14th day of October in the year 2022. I'm Gordon Mosley reporting, and here's what we're tracking tonight. Guyana's Attorney General and Minister of Legal Affairs Anil Nandlal has challenged legislators globally to push for the implementation of laws that would engender greater gender parity within their parliaments, even as they continue to canvass for the removal of all institutional and systematic structures, legislation, policies and programs which perpetuate gender inequality. The Attorney General made a statement while he was addressing the 145th Interparliamentary Union Assembly in Rwanda on Thursday. The international meeting is focusing on gender equality and gender-sensitive parliaments as drivers for a more resilient and peaceful world.
Although gender equality is entrenched in the Charter of the United Nations and in the fundamental guarantees of governing instruments of similar organizations across the globe and are in the constitutions and laws of most countries, the reality is starkly different. For example, only 3 in 193 countries surveyed have 50 or more female membership in their parliament. 143 countries have below 30% female membership, and still yet several countries have no women representation in their parliament.
Minister Nandlal said the process for more representation of women in the parliament began a long time ago in Guyana, but it remains a work in progress.
These are staggering statistics in a world where female gender outnumbers the male gender. So, colleagues, we have a lot of work to do, and a good start is to push for legislation to be implemented in member states that would engender greater gender parity in their parliaments, while we continue to canvass for the removal of all institutional, systematic structures, legislation, policies and programs which perpetuate gender inequality across the state's apparatus. Let us therefore resolve to move resolutely to make the theme of this conference a reality. Our failure will certainly result in greater human rights tragedies and societal stagnation, and indeed the global peace for which we strive will continue to elude us.
Guyana, he noted, also has a strong network of legislation, policies and programs that outlaw gender and other forms of discrimination and simultaneously protect women and children from ills such as sexual abuse, domestic violence and trafficking in persons, as well as human trafficking. The Attorney General urged member states of the IPU to move resolutely to make the conference's theme. He said there is simply no rational basis to resist greater gender balance in the parliaments. Speaker of the National Assembly Manzo Nadir, Opposition Member of Parliament Dawn Hastings-Williams, and Clerk of the National Assembly Sherlock Isaacs are also part of the Guyanese delegation attending the IPU conference. More news coming up in just a moment.
It's been a long time coming. Overdue, some might say, but now that it's here, it will change life forever, and it is here to stay. The future is now. Transforming Guyana into the 21st century. Introducing GTT Fiber. Experience internet connectivity like never before. Speeds you deserve at prices you can afford from a name you can trust. Sign up today. GTT Fiber is here. GTT. Together, we rise faster.
Office Max, we're all about customer satisfaction. Whether it's clothing and shoes for the ladies, gents, and kids, or for the latest electronics or hardware appliance, we're always thinking of satisfying you, our dear customers. Now you can shop online at www.giftlandofficemax.com or visit us at the Giftland Mall, where we're happy to serve each and every one of you.
Get in the game with Buster. Win a full gaming setup, Xbox X, gaming chair, gaming speaker and headset, or any of over 60 weekly prizes like Oculus Quest 2, Mini 2 drone, Nintendo Switch, and many more top gaming prizes. Check below for details.
Social media talk show host and PPP political activist Ossie Rogers is on the probe by the police after he was caught on camera slapping a woman repeatedly in a Berbice supermarket. Police investigators in Berbice have confirmed that Rogers was arrested and later released on self-bail at a police station after a complaint was filed against him. The incident took place in Bass Settlement at a supermarket last Sunday. In surveillance video from that supermarket, Rogers and the woman are seen in an argument. And during the argument, the diaspora-connected talk show host is seen advancing towards the woman and slapping her across the face. The woman attempts to fight back but walks away as some other persons in the supermarket rush to her aid. Rogers is then seen going after the woman again and slapping her several other times before he is pushed away by a group of men in the supermarket. It is unclear what triggered the argument between the two, but in a Facebook post, Ossie Rogers claimed that there was a 2-hour altercation between him and the woman, and that the video which was released only showed a part of that altercation. This is not the first time that Ossie Rogers has found himself on the investigation for assaulting a female. In 2013, he was charged and remanded to jail after he repeatedly slapped a 13-year-old girl, after she allegedly became friends with a 15-year-old boy who was known to Rogers. The girl's family had complained that he had showed up at the family's house, threatening the girl and warning her to cut all communication with the teenage boy. Rogers later moved to the US, where he spent a number of years, returning recently to support the government's various public relations initiatives. The 30-year-old La Bonne Intention East Coast Demerara woman who allegedly disarmed her abusive reputed husband and stabbed him to death was today charged and remanded to jail for the man's murder. The accused, Aquila Abrams, was not required to enter a plea to the murder charge, as it was read to her by Magistrate Fabio Azor. The court was told on the 10th of October at Golden Grove, East Coast, Demerara, Abrams stabbed 40-year-old Michael Wilson to death during a physical altercation. She will make her next court appearance in the month of November and will remain behind bars until then. In a statement earlier this week, the Guyana police force indicated that, according to the woman, she was ending an abusive relationship with the man when he attacked her with a knife. She was reportedly slashed across one of her arms, but managed to get the knife out of the man's possession and used it to stab him repeatedly. The injured man was taken to the hospital, where he died while receiving treatment for multiple stab wounds. Less than a week after being put in place, the Board of Inquiry into the accident that crippled the operations of the Demerara Harbour Bridge last weekend has completed its probe. The members of the Board of Inquiry handed over their report this morning to the Public Works Minister, Juan Egil. While the findings of the probe were not released, it was explained that over the past week, the Board of Inquiry held extensive hearings and conducted a number of interviews with witnesses and other persons who were in the area when the fuel tanker slammed into the bridge, damaging several sections of that bridge. Minister Egil said the accident resulted in the bridge being out of operation for over 40 hours. He also said the cost for the repairs has already surpassed $1 billion. The Guyanese river pilot who was steering the vessel at the time of the accident remains on suspension. He was contracted to the Transport and Harbours Department. The Public Works Minister has indicated that the owner of the vessel will have to stand the cost for the repairs to the bridge. The vessel was contracted by Guy Oil.
It's time to live it up with Rubis and win! Spend $4,500 or more in Ultratech fuel at any Rubis service station and get an entry card. Win one of 3 amazing grand prizes of $500,000 cash, $500,000 in Ultratech fuel, or $500,000 in groceries. Each week you could win fabulous weekly prizes including staycations, dinners, spa and fuel vouchers, cash, electronics, and more. Live it up with Rubis and make sure you're in with a chance to win!
counting way. From region 1 to region 10, the whole country.
Well, this serves to inform you that I have just completed the census, which is ongoing in 2022. It is my view that a census is important. It will allow us to understand the demographics in Guyana, among other things. And therefore, it is in that context, I think it is opposite that I say to people, be part of the census, ensure you're counted. It will contribute to the kind of data that is needed to do the kinds of analysis and projections in a society like ours. And if properly used, it can contribute to good governance.
Everyone in the country, we counting.
Doors and windows, Republic. Rooms and more, Republic. A brand new rug on the floor. Come to Republic, come to Republic. Whatever you need, you got it. Come through and get your mortgage. Live the dream with Republic.
95 to 100% financing, 50% waiver of negotiation fees, plus one lucky person gets their mortgage paid in full. Turn someday into today. Talk to Republic Bank about your low-cost mortgage today.
The writers of this program are depending on my ethnic but non-threatening voice to explain things they are too lazy to set up traditionally. Only 2 months into the semester.
Marcus, I was watching that. What's the matter with you?
Noreen, why you have all these things plugged in, man? You really don't check them bills, you know? You know the cost of electricity?
Marcus, you can't be so ridiculous. That's the fridge. Why would you unplug the fridge?
I don't understand why the cost of electricity is so high in this country, man. Somebody has to do something.
Marcus, you know what I realize? Something is really wrong with you. How are we supposed to live without electricity?
Hello, just like our ancestors survived back in the days.
I will have you know, Marcus, Noreen Angela Melville is not cut out for that type of life.
And already the 9th Ivy League squads buzz with future Olympians and presidents.
Did you know the gas-to-energy project is expected to reduce the cost of electricity by up to 50%? Yes, that project will slash electricity bills in half. This will also unleash a tsunami of benefits for the manufacturing sector in Guyana.
Wow. Marcus, did you hear that? Electricity will be cheaper. Now, Marcus, for the love of God, plug the fridge back in.
For the admissions brochure.
The opposition coalition APNU-AFC has written to the Chief Elections Officer Vishnu Prasad informing him that a request for additional information by GCOM is without basis since the Commission already has the information which forms part of the public documents that it can forward to the police to continue their probe of the allegations of voter impersonation at the last elections. In the letter, Chief Scrutineer for the APNU-AFC Carol Smith-Joseph told the GCOM CEO that there was no need for the request, since the information is needed is on the final list of voters, which is a public document and has nothing to do with the National Register of Registrants, and confidentiality will not be affected. Last week, GCOM Secretariat wrote to the Chief Scrutineer of the APNU-AFC requesting that additional information be provided to the Commission to be forwarded to the police for them to investigate the ongoing claims of voter impersonation. GCOM said that it is committed to ensuring that the concerns raised by the APNU-AFC are adequately addressed in a prioritized manner to ensure a resolution within the shortest time. The Commission noted, however, that notwithstanding the fact that it is the custodian of the National Register of Registrants, which contains personal information of all registrants, the Commission cannot release such information to the police, owing to legal confidentiality issues that could arise. APNU-AFC officials have said GCOM appears to be employing delayed tactics with that excuse, since the Commission has the voters list, which is not a private document and was posted in the public domain. The full court this afternoon declared that it had no jurisdiction to entertain an interim order that was being sought by the 8 suspended opposition members of Parliament, who wanted the full court to reinstate them while their challenge to the suspension was being heard in the lower high court. Delivering the decision on behalf of the full court, Justice Joanne Barlow said the action placed before the full court was premature, and she pointed out that many of the issues that were raised before the full court are issues that are before the High Court in the original matter. She said it appeared as a premature appeal. Before the decision was handed down, the two judges of the full court, Justice Joanne Barlow and Justice Sandal Kissoon, grilled senior counsel Ford on whether the full court could have granted the interim reliefs when the very issues are still to be treated by the lower court. In August, Justice Damon Young, while hearing the case in the High Court, declined to issue the conservatory order sought by the suspended members of Parliament on the basis that the issue of jurisdiction must first be determined. On Friday, Justice Barlow pointed out that matters of jurisdiction are still to be ventilated in the High Court. In defense of the appeal, Mr. Ford explained that the appeal deals strictly with the refusal of Justice Young to grant an interim order for the suspension of the MPs to be temporarily lifted pending the hearing and determination of the issue of jurisdiction. But the arguments put forward by the senior counsel were not convincing to Justice Barlow and Justice Kissoon. Justice Kissoon said the court must first satisfy itself that it has jurisdiction to intervene in the matter. He submitted that at least one of the international cases relied upon by the senior counsel does not support his case.
We counting we from region 1 to region 10, the whole country.
We've just completed our census interview. It's quite a simple process. Whenever the team comes to your home, kindly cooperate and get the interview done, because it's also important for the information to be available to us as a government to plan and implement our programs and projects for the development of Guyana, a development that you will benefit from.
We counting we from region 1 to region 10, the whole country.
Food Max Supermarket, located on the ground floor of the Giftland Mall, is your one-stop shop for all your grocery needs. We stock a variety of imported frozen meat and food products, fresh produce, and pet supplies, freshly made bread. Rotisserie chicken and patties are also available daily. Shop in comfort today at Food Max and let our courteous staff assist you in satisfying your shopping needs. Food Max, the fresh food specialist.
Rooms and more, Republic, a brand new rug on the floor. Come to Republic, come to Republic. Whatever you need, you got it. Come through and get your mortgage. Live the dream with Republic.
95 to 100% financing, 50% waiver of negotiation fees, plus one lucky person gets their mortgage paid in full. Turn some day into today. Talk to Republic Bank about your low-cost mortgage today.
Get in the game with Buster. Win a full gaming setup, Xbox X, gaming chair, gaming speaker and headset, or any of over 60 weekly prizes like Oculus Quest 2, Mini 2 drone, Nintendo Switch, and many more top gaming prizes. Check below for details.
Fuel it up and drive, Super 95. Tune up. Fuel it up and drive, Super 95. Tune up. Protect your fuel system, boy. High mileage and performance, boy.
Guyana Super 95 gasoline gives you more reasons to drive and is available at 56 service stations nationwide. For affordable price, high performance, and high mileage, choose Guyana's Super 95 gasoline.
Fuel it up and drive.
Across the region tonight, Venezuelan migrants stranded on the U.S.-Mexico border are worried that they might never reach the U.S. after a bilateral deal this week sought to put a lid on a recent sharp increase in crossings by the South Americans. Under the plan announced earlier this week, Washington will grant up to 24,000 Venezuelans humanitarian access to the U.S. by air, while enabling U.S. officials to expel to Mexico those caught trying to cross illegally by land. To qualify for the program, applicants must have U.S.-based sponsors and would enter by air. They must not go to the U.S.-Mexico border, Mexico's government has said. Before Wednesday, Venezuelans who crossed illegally into the U.S. were often allowed to stay because it was difficult to send them back to Venezuela or Mexico. Many are now seeking asylum. Tens of thousands of Venezuelans have left their troubled traveled homeland from Mexico this year to get to the U.S. Many others remain en route, and the new plan's entry quota has fueled concern that it could spark a humanitarian crisis. Up to 1,000 Venezuelans per day could be expelled to Mexico under the new agreement. Turning now to Haiti. The United Nations World Food Programme announced today that Haiti is facing a humanitarian catastrophe as it struggles with malnutrition, gang violence, inflation, and a cholera outbreak. Some 4.7 million people, almost half of the population of Haiti, are facing hunger, with about 19,000 people in one neighborhood facing catastrophic hunger, the World Food Programme announced. It said the situation is concerning, and it is a catastrophe that needs an urgent response. Haitian gangs have for a month prevented the distribution of diesel and gasoline, crippling businesses and hospitals and creating shortages of basic foods and goods, including water, just as the country is struggling with a new outbreak of cholera. Another UN official added that 100,000 children in Haiti under the age of 5 were suffering from severe malnourishment, adding that they are especially vulnerable to the outbreak of cholera. And finally tonight, international news. Russian President Vladimir Putin has said there is no need for more massive strikes in Ukraine, days after the heaviest bombardment of the country since the war began. He said most designated targets of the strikes had been hit, adding that it was not his aim to destroy Ukraine. Moscow's goal of mobilizing 300,000 men would be met within 2 weeks, he said. Mr. Putin's words come as Russian forces seem stalled in Ukraine advances almost 8 months since the invasion. Speaking to journalists after a summit with regional leaders, Mr. Putin said that the recent strikes had destroyed 22 of the 29 targets in Ukraine set by the military, and that they are getting the remaining 7. From Monday onwards, Russia unleashed a wave of strikes in cities across Ukraine, in what Putin said was retaliation for a blast which damaged a key bridge between Russia and the annexed Crimea. And that's your news source evening bulletin for tonight. I'm Gordon Mosley, thanking you for joining us and encouraging you to have a safe and enjoyable weekend.